There we go. Yay. Do you see me? No. No, not yet. Maybe there's a delay. Okay. Yay. Hello, everybody. Sorry, we're having to use some new technology tonight because we found out earlier today that our district Zoom does not support screening over from Zoom to YouTube. So thank you for bearing with us, everyone. We are recording this meeting, so if you know of people who couldn't be here, a link will be put on our website tomorrow. So welcome. I'm zooming in, or I guess YouTubing in from the choir room. So Miss Kumenji is back there behind me. She's going to be answering questions in the chat, just in case I'm going over anything and you have a question about it, or you can email us directly with those questions, okay? In order to not have to download extra technology to be able to share, I'm actually going to turn my screen here to this lovely other computer screen, because this is how we were able to figure it out. And I am going to talk you through our beginning of year slides. So welcome to the CPMS choir. We are so glad to have you as parents and family in our program. We are very excited to get this year going. This is the largest program we have had since COVID. We are at over 360 students in choir this year. So our vision in the CPMS choir program is that all students who enter the choir room are subject to hard work in learning the essentials of choral music, will treat others respectfully by being kind, and will lead by example by doing the right thing every day. So we teach being good humans through the vehicle of music. And our motto is work hard, be kind, lead by example. So we talk about different types of leaders. All right, so how we can work hard is by noticing that we are all on the same team. Choir is a mental game. Without a positive can-do mindset, you're already behind. We have the students ask questions when they don't know the answer or they don't understand something, and we ask that they show up on time to class and be present. We know that middle school can be a time for drama and mood swings and all of the things. We totally get it, being tired. But we ask that they leave all of that at the door as much as they can and show up and be present and in the moment for our class. Choir is the team where no one really sits the bench, right? When they're singing and performing, they are all in play. And so it is very much a team mentality in this choir program. We ask that they be part of the solution, not the problem. Okay. So the last resort in this class should be discipline. We follow the CPMS campus-wide consequence system. So you may have seen this on other beginning of year syllabi and things like that. But first is a verbal warning. Now that could be a general verbal warning to the entire class, to a section of the room, or to individuals. Number 2 is removal from class in a private conversation. 3 is parent contact and alternate assignment signed by the parent at home. And then 4th, they continue being benched and they receive alternate work. And we'll talk about what that is. And then number 5 is office referral. And we very, very rarely have to get through all of those steps. Usually we can get to number 2, maybe number 3, and get them back on track. And do notice that we provide the private conversation prior to reaching out to parents, because now that your child is in middle school, we do want to give them the opportunity to self-correct before we get parents involved. We want them to have a little bit more self-awareness and accountability on their end. So benching and in-class suspension. This is something that we rarely do, but we do have to implement it from time to time. So rehearsal is a privilege, not a right. So the students have elected to be in choir, therefore they elect to do the things and follow directions and whatnot. To have a successful rehearsal, all students must be working toward the common goal. Students who are benched will be removed from rehearsal. They will complete an in-class suspension form, and the completed form must be signed by parents and returned the next day, or the student will remain benched and given alternate work. This is very, very important, because if we have 1, 2, 3 students who are really holding back a class of, say, like 88 is our largest class this year, It is very, very important that we don't hold back the learning of the majority because of the behaviors of the few. We ask that students are kind in communication and friendships. So every person in the choir room is expected to communicate kindly. So the more you invest and get to know people in the choir, the more you get out of the experience. So we know in our sixth grade classes, a lot of students are blended from previous elementary schools. And so they need to get to know each other. So for instance, we have, I think, 42 sixth grade boys in one class and 75 sixth grade girls. So we're going to make an effort for everyone to get to know each other. And then also to know that the director's doors are 100% open for all choir students. So if there's ever concerns or questions, anything in regards to just being more comfortable in choir, they can always reach out to us. Parents and students, please put all choir calendar dates in your calendars at the beginning of the year. So we sent home the calendar with the beginning of your paperwork. We do work hard to put our calendar together in April of the previous year. So we expect 100% participation in all concerts and required events. We do know that things happen. So let us know as soon as possible if an emergency arises and has kept you from attending a required event. In the case of something like that happening, we do require per our program handbook that the parent reaches out. The student may reach out to us as well, but we do need that documentation from the parent. This also goes for if you have like a wedding coming up or a trip overseas, things that have been planned months, years in advance. Just let us know and we will do everything we can to accommodate. Lead by example. CPMS choir students are expected to be good examples, not only in the choir classroom, but in the Cedar Park community as well. We stay in constant communication with teachers and coaches. I do know personally that the coaches really expect our students to be good citizens. And even if they're just in like pre athletics or beginning dance, um, they do expect that they are also representing them well outside of those sports or activities. Good attitudes are required. It only takes one person, student or director, to make a rehearsal unproductive and not fun. So we try to do the best for our students, and we expect them to do the same in return. So let's talk about accountability. This is something we really strive for in our class. I think you've heard me talking about self accountability with student actions. Accountability is crucial to success in our choir program. We understand that musical mistakes will happen. Failure is part of the process. So we ask them to fail forward. It's okay if weird sounds come out of your mouth as long as you are trying and you're working to improve yourself. Behavioral mistakes will happen because we have students that range from 11 years old to 14 years old. And we understand that they are not adults. They make mistakes from time to time. We do expect students to take accountability for their actions and learn from their mistakes. So, for instance, if I have a group of students who are talking and I say, hey guys, stop talking, what we expect in return from the student is, yes, ma'am. And then we get back on track. Um, Not the I wasn't talking or excuses. Because again, like we're just helping get them back on track, and accountability is huge in becoming a successful adult. And it is important to have in our classroom. All right, let's talk about the grading breakdown for the choir program. So, this is the same for every grade in choir. 40% is that pace grade, and it's essentially participation, but I will break that down more on the next slide. 30% is a performance grade. So that means if there is one concert in a performance cycle, that one concert is worth 30% of their overall grade. So it is extremely important that they are there for that. Okay. 30% is skill and written assessments. So we use the skill and written assessments to individually assess our students to make sure they are understanding the concepts, the content, and vocabulary behind learning to be a musician. Then we have non concert cycles. So, for instance, the first 6 weeks of the school year, we do not have a performance. Therefore, 60% is going to be that pace grade, and 40% will break down to that skill and written assessments. So let's talk about the PACE grade. So the PACE grade stands for participation, accountability, citizenship, and effort. So students receive 20 points per class. So in a normal week of 5 days per week, that's 20 points per class, okay, to get 100%. Students start every week with 100 points, and they will lose points for the things that are listed. So, for example, talking, being off task, being out of their seat without permission, no binder, no pencil, gum or food, not participating, phone or AirPods out. Now, luckily, with the new law changes, phone, AirPods has really not been a problem this year, which is fantastic. Again, we do give reminders for things like talking before we take away pace points. But at this point in the year, now that we are a week and a half, 2 weeks in to the year, we will no longer be giving reminders about gum or food unless it's as they enter before the bell rings. So it's very, very important that they don't have gum or food in class. The number one reason for us is it's a safety issue as they're singing so that the students are not trying to breathe with the choir and then they inhale a snack and choke. We do allow our students who are coming from like or athletics or other things to finish a snack in the hallway before they come in, as long as they are still able to get their binder and get to their seat by the time the bell rings. Now, let's talk about performances. So, these are our concerts. Concerts are mandatory. Concerts are also experiences that cannot be replicated. We cannot reproduce a concert for two students, right? It is a huge experience that can't be replicated. To get 100%, students must do more than just show up and sing in the concert. They must sign in on time, show proper performer and audience etiquette, perform to the best of their ability. The thing that really gets our middle schoolers is they do usually do a fantastic job of performer etiquette, but it's that audience etiquette in between when they are not performing on stage. So extra reminders at home about proper etiquette always go a long way. And then, bottom bullet there, it says conflicts will be dealt with on a case by case basis. And you can refer back to when we talked about calendar conflicts. All right, skill and written assessments. So these are examples of things that we take grades for individually. So music theory work and quizzes, sight reading assessments. So we use a system called solfege, like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And they sometimes are instructed to write that into their music. So we can do music solfege checks. Other written assignments used to determine individual understanding and assignments given when substitutes are present. We are very fortunate that we do have the two directors in our program. So, very rarely do we actually have to give written work when there's subs present, because typically, if one director's out, the other one is here and able to help out. So that's really great. But sometimes we both have to be out, and we rarely do get a substitute who is also a music teacher. So a lot of times that's when we do some content specific assignments through Google Classroom. All right, supplies. So, as you have already seen from the beginning of your forms, that there are fees associated with each class. So, there's different fees for sixth grade versus JV versus varsity. So, this is things that are covered. So all classroom supplies are provided to the student. So we have already provided them with binders, pencil pouches. We're using mechanical pencils this year, so we don't have to worry about sharpening pencils, highlighters, music copies, octavos, things like that. All of those supplies are provided for our students. Performance materials for all sixth grade choirs. They will need blue jean pants for performances. They need to have as few holes as possible, so very little, if any, skin showing. If students are worried if their specific pair of blue jean pants are acceptable, they can always bring them in ahead of time to show them to us, or they can email us a picture of those jeans. And then closed-toed shoes are very important. Now, 7th and 8th grade will also have the non-formal, so the informal uniform at the fall concert and end of year show. And that is the same as the 6th grade uniform year long. Okay. Which is the blue jeans and the closed-toed shoes, and then that choir t-shirt. So performance materials for all 7th and 8th graders, they will need black concert shoes. So for our treble singers, that's going to be our black flats. They kind of look like little ballet flats. Um, and then our tenor bass singers will need black dress shoes. Crocs and non-black shoes will not be accepted, and they may result in a lowered concert grade. We do have quite a large stock of shoes that have been donated over the last few years. So if that is an issue, please have your student come check in with us, and they may be able to borrow a pair of shoes, and we will do what we can to help them. Okay. And then again, the blue jeans for informal performances as well. All right. Actually, I'm going to go back one and talk about the performance materials as well, one more time for the 7th and 8th graders, because it is not mentioned on here. 7th and 8th graders do have that formal uniform that is rented out to them. We take care of all alterations, and we have them professionally cleaned at the end of the year. So varsity students, a lot of them have already received those items. And JV students, we are going to have our formal uniform fitting on Saturday, September 6th. We will send that out. But the formal uniform is our treble singers can do pants and black shirt, or they can do the formal dress. And then our tenor bass have the black pants, tux pants, black button-up shirt, and then we provide a red tie. The difference between JV and varsity tenor bass is that our varsity tenor bass has tux jackets included as well. All right, so let's talk web store on My School Bucks. So this is just some information on how to access it, because it's not always such a user-friendly platform. So if you are on the website, all you have to do is click on the school store. A lot of times nothing will show up. So click browse all items. Once you do that, you can filter by school if you have multiple students in different schools. So in my case, I have students at both Cedar Park Middle School and Deer Creek. So I went ahead and I clicked on Cedar Park, and then you can also filter by category, and I clicked on student program, fine arts, choir. And that way what popped up was stuff specific to my student. Now my student is a 7th grader, so that's why it says JV, and I think there was a varsity. So if you do have a 7th or 8th grader, please make sure that you are choosing the correct choir, because they are different amounts. And I would hate for any students who have a JV student to overpay or underpay. Now, where it says CPMS choir shirt, it does not show up right here, but in the details, it shows up that that is optional, and it is an extra shirt. We are providing every student with a brand new program shirt this year. So you only need to purchase a shirt on My School Bucks if they need an extra shirt, or you want one for the family so you can rep the choir outside of school. Now, if you are on the mobile app, it does show up a bit differently on the mobile app. So I went ahead and pulled up my mobile app and screenshotted some for you. So this is the main screen here on the left, and it shows like my students and their lunch balances. That's what shows up initially. So what you have to do is go to the bottom right side and click on the little store icon. When you do that, you also need to click on the specific school. So Cedar Park Middle School. You can filter for choir if you want. I did not, but you can see that our stuff still did show up there. Okay. And once it's filtered, You see that third screen. So it shows everything there that they would need for choir. So again, notice that the JV fee and the varsity fee are different. So make sure that you are choosing the correct one. All right, this is for JV varsity only. I mentioned this already, but the formal uniform fitting day is Saturday, September 6th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Now, varsity members, I think we have all but maybe 7 students who have been fitted already. So you only need to attend this, varsity members, if you haven't already done your uniform fitting, okay? All JV members need to make every attempt to attend this, okay? It's going to be in the CPMS choir room and then the hallway alcove, which is right outside our room by the water fountains. We will need approximately 10 volunteers. Now, these could be student volunteers. So if any varsity members need NJHS hours and want to come help out, that would be great. If you are a JV member that's also NJHS or AVID and needs hours, you can also sign up to help. Volunteers can be students or parents. And like I said, we can give service hours. So there is a link to sign up. And so when I email out these slides, you can click that and sign up. All right, our calendar. Now, we provided that paper calendar, but we also do have a CPMS choir calendar. You can find it on our choir website, but we also have this QR code to the choir website where you can find the calendar. All students are expected to attend all required concerts and events. It's very important and can impact a student's grade and the choir's performance as a whole. The calendar will be up to date all year. So if you're unsure about an event, please look at the Google Calendar. And I will say we take every opportunity we can to update this calendar. Sometimes things slip through. Last year, we had it on the staff calendar that shows up on the CPMS website, and we had it on another calendar and sent reminds and forgot to update it on the Google Calendar. So we do make every attempt to have it correct and apologize if we don't do that. All right, rank 1. So, for those who are new to choir or even new to middle school, rank 1 can seem like a lot, but luckily it has gotten a lot more user friendly over the past few years. All parents are required to fill out this online paperwork on rank 1. There is a helpful guide on the website under forms. There is also a help guide in Spanish. So, if you need the Spanish help guide, it is not on the choir website, but we can get it up there, or you can email your child's main director and they will get that for you. Per district guidelines, we are not allowed to take students off campus without the paperwork on rank 1. So this includes travel and OTC medical consent form, LASD extracurricular handbook acknowledgement forms, trip authorization form, photo release, emergency card, and parent agreement. So one of the reasons we have rank 1 is because not all of our activities happen on campus, and a lot of our stuff happens either off campus or in non-school hours. And say that there is like a weather emergency or things like that, our district fine arts directors will get on rank 1 to figure out who has activities going on so they can send the appropriate communications to those directors. Um, so it's overall definitely a safety thing. Okay. But that is super, super important to fill out. It is also important to note that if your child is in athletics, there is a athletics rank 1, and then there is a fine arts rank 1. Unfortunately, those platforms do not talk to each other. We are pushing and pushing to make it a one-stop shop, but it is not there yet. So they will need to fill out one for fine arts if they have already filled out one for athletics. If your child is in cheer, cheer does fall under the fine arts category. If your child is in band or dance, that also falls under the fine arts category. So if they've already filled it out for those, they do not have to fill it out again. Fundraiser. I know this is one of those necessary evils in a program, but it's super important to help our program. We are doing a program, a donation drive through Fan Pledge. They're a wonderful organization that we've worked with. I think this is our fourth or fifth year working with them. And our very first year working with Fan Pledge, we made triple what we typically do when we used to sell chocolate bars. So we did the set up for Fan Pledge with students in class last week. They were given a little paper to take home in case they needed to do more at home. The kickoff event is this Wednesday, August 27th from 4:30 to 5:30 in the CPMS cafeteria. Even if a student cannot make it to the kickoff event, they can still participate in the fundraiser. What's really great about this is they put in contacts of people they think would be willing to donate to our program, either email, telephone, or both. And once our event goes live, it will actually send that information out to those people's that they put in contacts. So it is very much a like low effort fundraiser, if that makes sense. We're not giving your kids brochures to try to go sell items and then they have to get those items in and deliver them. None of that. This one fundraiser does help our program cover extra costs. It provides extra opportunities for your students and it keeps our yearly fees low. Fundraiser participation is not mandatory, but funds raised do benefit every student in the program. So, to give you an example of that, last year we did our end of year trip to Schlitterbahn. And we were able to cover all transportation fees with the fundraiser and cover a significant amount of the ticket cost for every student. Um, so it definitely helps. We are also able to bring in guest clinicians from around the state. So like really well-known choral directors from around the state to come work with our students. We're able to use our accompanist, Mr. Polig. He comes in and plays piano several times a year for us, more than what our district finances for us. So it's definitely important that we are able to raise funds to be able to provide those extra opportunities for our students. One other thing about Fan Pledge is we totally understand that not everyone is comfortable reaching out to family and friends asking for donations. So if you would prefer to just send a personal donation directly to school, that is fine as well. If you are not in a financial situation where you feel that is appropriate for your family right now, we totally understand. We know that volunteering your time can also be a great benefit to our program. All right, back to school bash. So this is our first social event of the year. So we do this. This is has nothing to do with singing at all. It's just a fun event for the kids to get to know each other, to hang out, and get to know their directors in a non-school setting. So this is going to happen on Friday, September 12th from 6 to 9 p.m. at Austin's. It used to be called Austin's Park and Pizza. It is right off I-35 in Fleurville. The cost is $40. We do cover $5 per student at the door, so the actual cost is $45 per student. Unfortunately, their costs have gone up quite a bit there. We were able to negotiate them down, and then we were able to cover some of that money for you all. That is going to be cash at the door this year. So rather than paying in advance and then students asking us, hey, did my mom pay? Did my dad do the web store? They are simply going to sign up through the forms, the permission form, and they are going to bring the cash with them. And then we will turn that over directly to Austin's Park and Pizza. And then we will pay the remaining balance on our end. So, excuse me, this cost includes dinner buffet and all rides and all activities. The only thing that it does not include is bowling because that's a separate charge, and we reserve that for the public since this is still open to the public. So there is a permission form required in advance. So it is in an email that I believe Ms. Kumeji sent out last Friday, and it's a Google form. And so we are going to take that roster of Google forms and print that off to know who we can admit into the event. That permission form is going to be available all the way through September 11th. So it will close the evening of September 11th so that we can print off rosters and be ready to accept students at our event on September 12th. We do require that rank one forms were submitted before this event. So if we see that students have turned in permission forms, we are going to cross-check that with rank one because, again, those are required for all off-campus events. Students will wear their new choir shirt that we will provide them either that day or the day before. In class, we'll give out all of the shirts before this event. They can wear whatever shorts or pants are comfortable for them. But they do require closed-toed shoes for rides and activities at Austin's. So they'll need to make sure that they have that. One other thing that's not on here is we do need parent volunteers for this event. The email that Ms. Kumenji sent out last week with the copy of the flyer and the hyperlinks does have a volunteer sign up as well. You are required to be an LASD approved volunteer. But to thank you for volunteering, we do cover the cost of your wristband. So that covers your dinner and your rides and activities for the parent volunteer. All right. Everyone stay tuned. This is a quick varsity only. Varsity parents, we have region choir auditions on October 25th. Remember, they are mandatory and they will happen at CPMS. Please let me know if this is not possible for your family because this is a major grade for our students. Those who make the region choir will need to be available for the region clinic and concert on Saturday, November 8th. We do have required before and after school sectional rehearsals for this. They start on Monday, September 8th. This is for anyone varsity or non-varsity. We are always in need of volunteers since we are hosting this event. For those who don't know, we have probably about 500, 600 students who kind of descend upon our building for this region audition from our entire region, which includes 5 different school districts. So we are always in need of volunteers. And then lastly, varsity only, we have the Kima Choir Days competition on Wednesday, November 5th, and more information will come closer to that date. All right. So this is for everyone. This is kind of to continue what I said about volunteers. We are in need of volunteers on October 24th and 25th. The auditions are being hosted again at CPMS this year. We will need a lot of parent volunteers to help out with setup on the 24th. We can also use student volunteers. And then we will need parent volunteers to help run auditions on October 25th. Students in NJHS, or I believe AVID is doing service this year, can get volunteer hours for helping. However, if the student is auditioning and they are in the varsity choir, they cannot also volunteer the day of auditions. They can, however, volunteer for setup the day before. Ultimately, we want choir to be your students' favorite part of their day, and we pledge to work hard, be kind, and lead by example to make that happen. So this is our director information for anyone who needs to get us directly. Again, my name is Megan Weston. I'm the head director here. We also have Mrs. Sarah Kumenji. She is our associate director. If you're not sure which of us direct which ensembles, Megan Weston, myself, I am the director of both varsity choirs and the 6th grade treble choir. And then Ms. Kumenji is the head director for both of our JV choirs and the 6th grade Cambiata choir. This is the end of our presentation. I hope you've gotten a lot of great information out of it. We will be saving this and post a link on the website. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions or concerns at any time. And we hope to get to know you this year and have a great year in choir. So that's the end. And I hope you all have a wonderful night. Get some rest. Students, do your homework. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.